Hey everybody, how's it going, man? This is your favorite Native American, Jose Cruz. You know what? I'm excited, man. We are back at it once again with the podcast. And today, I got my man, Johnny Fisher.
That's me. I'm Johnny.
Fish.
Yep.
Fish, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm happy to be
need a
here.
hug?
I do. I always need hugs. Yeah. Guilty with hugs. I love hugs.
So today, man, I'm going to give you a big old spoony hug after the show, man. And
I'm excited about
we'll
it.
record that, and
yeah,
we'll definitely run with that. But today we have a special guest,
cut.
And the director's cut, the behind the scenes,
what really happens.
Yeah, and so today we have a special guest, man. I'll let him introduce himself and just tell us who you are, what where you're from, what you do, and we'll just kind of go from there, man. Because we've been chopping it up already for about an hour before shooting, and so everything seems like it's pretty dope about you. So yeah, tell us who you are, what you do.
Yeah, I'm Fresno native. Been here my whole life. Grew up, humble beginnings. But I'm honestly I'm a person that loves people at the bottom of my heart. There's nothing more that matters to me than people. Doesn't matter all walks of life, like everything. That's what my whole life is about. I was a teacher for 13 years. Unfortunate event that turned out to be, I think that there was a plan that happened the way it did, and I got my own theories on that. But I've come into my own lately after a bout with PTSD, still deal with that and depression, and kind of started a nonprofit, but really dive into the mental health space and to people that are less fortunate, the underprivileged, the disadvantaged, and at-risk kids mostly. And that's kind of I was pulled out of the classroom, so to speak, but I still have a passion for kids, just in a different capacity.
Yeah. Man, that sounds. I feel like you saying that, the first thought that came to my mind is that maybe that hits like real close to you home. Is there anything that you grew up that the reason why you reaching out, or you want to help those who can't help, or those who don't have a voice, or those who struggle, all that you just mentioned, is that something you experienced, or is just that something you've seen?
No, it's something that I experienced, like it sucks, but and we were talking before we came on that, like, Johnny was talking about, bad days, good days, dark days, and it's kind of unfortunate, but most of my days are dark, and people don't see it. Because I smile, I make people laugh a lot. That's what I do.
Yeah, you were doing that earlier,
right?
Man,
and it brings me temporary happiness, but I can't recall a lot of times where I've just been happy. So all the pain that I have inside, I go and I'm like, how could I make somebody else feel happy? And my wife, and that's like, it's not a joke, but it's one of those things. She goes, it's like I got a hole in my heart that I'll never be able to fill. No matter how much I pour into it, it'll never be filled.
Yeah, that's a real thing. Those are things that I do go through. I definitely can relate with that. I 100% can relate to that. I can relate to trying to overwork myself so much and just freaking exhaust myself so that I don't have to deal with like what's happening here and here. And that misconnection, or that hole, or that just that spot, and just working like crazy, and then coming home and like doing like as much as I can at home until like my body just says enough.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the flip side of that is the withdrawal. So all of a sudden I'm unavailable.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like I'll lose myself in my phone on purpose, even though I got like life happening around me. Like you're in a world by yourself, and it's not that way all the time. Like I have reached, like when Bubba first died, it was during basketball practice. I had like a year and a half, 2 years, and I stopped counting at 16 kids that died in like 5 years, 16 of them, and so when he died, I had a ceiling and I couldn't reach past it, and then finally I reached out to the Most High and I was like, hey, now I'm at your will, because I can't do anything and I don't want to live this life anymore. Not saying I was suicidal, but just this life sucks. I can't imagine waking up and this being my whole life. And then I started reaching a new level, and then that ceiling became my new floor. And death became something that I was terrified of death when I was young, in the 4th grade. I cried myself to sleep every night. and then death all of a sudden became something different. And then it seems almost as if to test that theory, within the last 5 months, I've lost 7 people. One of my best friends passed away. And then the last one, she just passed. I believe it was suicide. And she had been like, there were cries for help. She was in the military and she had a 3-year-old daughter. And I found out a couple of days ago that she had died.
Wow.
And so with this, you're not in any like physical pain.
Oh,
like,
no, yeah, I deal with extreme.
Yes, you have extreme.
Yeah.
And you're in this pain, and that was a setup question. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I know that you're in pain all the time. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
But like you've spent and you gave your body to a sport, to a game, to a football, and that allowed you to get an education, which allowed you to become a teacher, which has in turn allowed you to do what you're doing now, but it came with a price. Yeah. Right.
And even going back to giving it for a sport, I didn't give it for a sport. I gave it to my people around me.
Yeah.
And I gave it the pain that I would cause myself was a way to deal with my own pain.
Yep.
So I could go out and run as fast as I could into somebody and hit helmet to helmet. And that was like, my dad always make fun of me, like, dude, you had a touchdown not in anybody, and then you got this guy over here, you just hit him. Like, why would you do that? And I'm like, because that doesn't bring me joy. Like the pain was part of a game that I was playing with myself.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, I prepared for death every game. I mean, whether it was going to happen or not, like, broken necks happen. But the amount of pain that I would cause, and I wake up the next day and just the body can't move, and I'd be like, this is living. This is why I could feel life.
Now, do you think, because you said you have a nonprofit or foundation, helping those that feel that way, is that something that you feel like even now that I feel like you want to take on pain of others? So
within this process, you're right. So in the and again, it's part of like this whole spiritual awakening for me. But in the native culture, there's the heyoka that is like the sacred clown. And I've always realized, like, why do I always, it doesn't matter what it is, like I take on people's energy, I take on people's emotion, and like, why is that? I never really understood it as a kid. I'd see somebody walking down the street and all of a sudden be like, damn, why do I feel blue? Like that guy feels blue, I feel blue. But if I get around happy people in an environment, I could take on that form and I could be happy. But it's like mirroring almost what other people around me are feeling. So if I'm around pain, I can lower, and that's why I was an effective teacher, is I could lower myself to a pain frequency, a vibration. The Holy Spirit within us is I could become that way on a mental state or whatever, but then I can bring them out of it because I had the ability to bring them out of it. So it's a weird kind of thing, but when I was younger in teaching, I would just hold on to all of it. I would never let it go. So then like I would get sick, physically sick. They're like the pain is part of it, but now that I can do that and like bring people out of a negative state, and then I can just pass it off because I don't have to hold on to it anymore.
You saying that, man. I don't know. I think you kind of like finished one of my life sentences that I could never finish, just like right now. And I know I see my wife nodding her head, and that's kind of how I was, or that's how I am. I was a youth pastor back in the day, and we had this thing where or at least when I was a pastor, really, I had this thing where I wanted to connect with people so much as far as to know their pain, to know their struggle, to let them know that, hey, I was there too, because I grew up in those dark days. I grew up in that dark life, and putting it together now, especially experiencing, excuse me, my sickness and, my double death experience, and I don't know why I feel like I need to hold on to that, because there are people that I'm like you, I see somebody sad, that makes me sad. I want to get on that frequency. Like, I just want to say thank you right now, because that really, what you just showed me, really what my life sentence has been hard to complete, And in saying that, let's talk about your foundation. And really, I mean, you gave a lot of reasons why you started it, but behind the purpose of really getting it full motion, starting it and going with it and running with it, what prompted that, and what actually...
So real quick, like I know where you're going with this, but I just wanted to say, like, I remember the day like it was like the week that Sean started this, it seemed like it was like so new. And we just Sean and I, we didn't know each other. We would run into each other and say hi. We have mutual friends together. I'm not from here, so I don't know the same people, Sean, but like I know who Sean is, you know what I mean? And we've seen each other and stuff. And then all of a sudden now this guy is constantly showing up. And he's always like in my life. He's always like around. So it's like you have to pay attention to the people that God is putting like in front of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The people that are in your path, they're there for a reason. And sometimes they're there for you to learn. Sometimes they're there for you to whatever they're there for. And I've just always valued seeing Sean because he has helped me and he doesn't even know it. And there's times where, like we were talking and we were talking in there earlier about, being at sports games and stuff like that and seeing each other, and you'd say something and inside my head, it's like making so much sense, but I don't know how to verbally like get it out from my stomach all the way out, into or even say thank you because I don't understand.
You couldn't find the right words.
Right. Yeah. None of it. Not because I couldn't find the right emotion.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I remember this day, and it was like wintertime, and I'm like, we're in Dollar Tree, and I'm there with Caitlin and
which, by the way, she's
her
sister.
In the studio audience. Yeah, Caitlin.
Caitlin.
Yeah,
she's like, okay.
Do some social meds for us, so we're in Dollar Tree in like the middle of winter, and I'm like, man, why is this dude in a tank top? And like, why is he so hot?
Skateboarding probably over there.
No, man. So he's there with his girls, and like they needed something, whatever. No, I said, why is he so hot? It was like a different kind of hot, but like whatever. I was making a funny joke. Anyways, but like he had like a tank top on and a hat, and it said "My Town," and I was like, oh, that's so rad. Oh shit, that's Sean. Hey, bro, what's up? And so we hug each other. He's like full of life and energy, and because we had talked already about like what had happened with Bubba and just like other things like that have happened and stuff, and like where he was going with it, and like later on, this is before my injury and stuff, and so like just his energy, and he's like, yeah, I got you, dude. Let's do something. Let's whatever, and I'm like. Let's do something, man.
It can't be.
But I'm still waiting for a hat. So,
they're hats.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's hats. There's freaking shirts, tank tops.
Nice.
Like medium tank tops and stuff. Yeah.
So that was my town, it's not my town. It's our town.
Right.
So we had the umbrella that we created. So just so happened, CJ Dunning. Online, she was doing some stuff like for kids that have gone missing, and she had been looking to help find them and just like connecting resources.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I like this. And for me, is like I said, like to me, money doesn't matter when you grow up. Humble beginnings. I tell my dad, I say,
you're in the right.
But my pop, he got upset one time. Man, we always had love in the house, and we always had food. And I'm like, Dad, but that's not what I'm saying, man. I mean, it's all relative. Like when I say poor, I'm not saying I had a bad childhood. I love my childhood. I wouldn't trade it for nothing. But we didn't have a lot of money. And he would go and talk about being poor, but then he wouldn't want to use those words. So I'm like, all right, Pop, we're at a humble beginning, and we got in a big old fight. Yeah. And me and my dad, we fight like brothers. He's not much older than me. So I mean, I'm like, Dad, you were 19 when you had, my mom was 17 when you guys had my brother. So like, you think you're going to be well off?
Yeah.
Like, obviously not. So, but what they always had love. And they always had like, be not like prideful, but be proud of who you are and what you represent, and like go out and work for what you got. And I've always been the type that like, I love people. Like that's prosperity to me is people. And so when I thought of my town, it was to help out. This is right after Bubba died, and he become this leader. And usually like when you don't see that, you see a kid, they'll grow up and they grow up out of high school.
Yeah.
But this I got to see in high school, and I got to see him grow from his freshman year to his senior year. And I was like, this is my calling. I'm supposed to create leaders. So working with the Clovis West kids, and it was like, all right, if we could create leaders in the school, then they could help bring everybody else up, and then we can, I can provide to them what I have, but instead of, I can't do it on a mass scale like that, but I could help others do what I'm doing. So we started this program. It had like life skills. We did CPR, first aid, which one kid actually saved his mom's life.
Really? That was
walking down the hall.
Yeah, that was from
Jalen.
Yeah, Jalen.
So he's walking down the hall and sees his mom in the room and she's choking. And but recognizing the signs, he walked by and he was like, oh, wait a minute, mom's choking. And the fact that he learned the technique formerly known as the Heimlich, which they don't say anymore, which whatever, the Heimlich maneuver, but he saved his mom's life. And that's something that at that time, I thought my town was going to blow up because I'm a dreamer. But for that specific moment, it was for him to save his mom that changed his life. Yep. And it got me into contact with kids and to be able to be there as a resource for them. Yep. So then it was like, but my town is just singular. It's for me, but this is our town, right? So once I met CJ and saw she was doing, and I've always been the type, like going back to the money thing, like, and again, I hope the Most High doesn't take away my and again, it is what it is, but donating money. So being in real estate, it's like we're doing this and my wife is crushing it, but I'm realizing like I'm not good like her. I'm like, this is like, you're way better than I'll ever be at this. I don't have what it takes to be good at this. I'm with people. So I'm like, all right, let's start donating money. Like, how can we help people? So I donated some money to CJ's cause and donated a little more. And then finally I'm sitting here, I was like, dude, I need to get back on this nonprofit train. Like our town. And I'm like, it's about helping it's the at-risk kids, the disadvantaged, the kids that I was helping in continuation school and the ones that need the most help, the ones that I could help. And when you talk about like the spirit, like when you connect with somebody on a spiritual level, and I don't think that that's talked about enough in organized religion, that we don't talk about the Holy Spirit enough. There's a spirit that's inside of all of us that wants to be joined together. And I think that's why when people want to like talk about frequencies and vibrations, those are all real, but that's the Holy Spirit emitting an energy to connect with itself. So then when it connects with itself, it can vibrate at a higher frequency that is togetherness, right? So once it was like our town, then it's like I have my own responsibility in my town to take care of our town. So once we connected there, then we just started, reaching out. We formed this nonprofit in like 6 months, got the paperwork back in like 6 months.
That's incredible.
It is.
So fast.
It's so fast. So all these things just started working out, and he started just putting people into place that were meant to be in place. And all of a sudden and then like my buddy, I started hanging out. We were filming a video for that fire thing that happened at Fresno State. And this kid walks up, my boy Steve's got Down syndrome. And he walks up and wants to be on video, Hollywood English, right? And I was like, all right, come on here. And I get his name and I'm like, dude, and I'm just thinking, I'm like, who's your mom? And you can't really understand him unless you know him. I'm like his translator. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, and ends up, I had been hearing stories about this kid for 10 years because his mom was our nurse at when I was a teacher at OCAP and Pershing. So I'd been hearing stories about this kid, and then I meet him. And now all of a sudden, like, we start hanging out, and he's my homie.
And like, how many years later was that?
10 years.
Yeah, it was like 10 years.
You know what I'm saying? And now I got this friend, and I'm thinking like, okay, so now as I'm forming this, as we're creating this nonprofit for at-risk disadvantage, I'm like, the disabled community is huge. Yeah. And then you get the veteran community that's huge. And it's so what we're creating is like a reciprocal mentorship of people that are hurting, but hurt differently. I hurt differently than Steve may hurt. Steve is misunderstood. Steve is not out. He's out in the community, but there's other people like Steve that aren't out in the community that need socialization. They need like these life skills, this life coaching, and they're not getting that, right? So what they're lacking, you get veterans that are lacking in what they're missing is like the ability to be vulnerable, and they're like dealing with all this mental health stress. Yeah. They complement each other perfectly. You create a mentorship with a veteran who's dealing with PTSD or whatever, and you go and you meet him with a Steve, and they all of a sudden form this brotherhood. They got a battle brother. They got their battle brother back that they may have lost. They got a battle brother that they need to take care of. Yeah. This person needs him. This person needs him. And all of a sudden you build this brotherhood of people that are go together. And all of a sudden it's like you have a job. They can help you on a job. You have this, like whatever, like you got your mentor.
Yeah, and man, I mean, that's a lot. You know, I just
It's a lot. My bad.
but no, that's perfect. You know, because again, all I'm seeing and feeling is your energy, and all I'm seeing is that. Do you think you taking on, you know, people's personas like fear, sad, anger, or depressed, or dark days, and even their happy days and joyous, you know, do you think that really that's what feeds you to keep pushing? Because a lot of people who do start stuff and it gets like it hits a plateau,
like page 6.
Yeah, page 6,
Page 6.
yeah, yeah, you know, but
Words.
just like meeting you now, talking to you now, I don't feel like you've hit a plateau when a lot of people do. You know, what keeps you motivated to keep doing this stuff? You know, especially at this high energy where it seems like you can connect with anyone, anywhere, anytime, you know, because again, when people think about like mental health or sickness or issues, personal problems, and I'll be the first one to admit, I didn't think about like the, you know, the other community as far as like people with mental like health disabilities and all that, and you know the vets and all that. That's still, because again, you think, oh, Veterans Day, you know, all this stuff once a year, you know, but then the ones with the mental disabilities, like you don't know what they go through, and it just seems like you actually took it to the next level. Actually, literally connecting with each person, because I think with social media now, people only connect with the obvious. You know, people only keep reaching what I think what I'm trying to say is that people connect again with the only obvious, and they forget the actual other communities actually probably need more help than that. And I feel like that's what you're doing.
So with the energy, and I think that this is why I was made the way I'm made. If I walk into a room and my energy level is way high and I'm all happy and giddy, that person that's sad, I'm never going to connect to that person. Why? Because that person can't raise their own vibration.
Just be relatable.
Right? So all of a sudden, I'm the way I am. Like, and I don't know if I was saying this, but recall being happy. Like, I can't recall being truly happy. Like, we won a Valley Championship. Like, you know, a lot of stuff to be happy about.
Chess is a big time sport, man. So I mean,
I might get down. I play mental chess all the time, though. That's what
chess. This is chess, ain't
hey,
checkers.
y'all had to think about it for a minute. Like, have I won some in chess? I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, let me do the math.
I'm just playing. But like football is a big time thing. Valley Championship, that's big, man.
It's big. But then, and then I even talked to my coach about this, who got his 300th win this year, and he was like, "You were happy. I saw pictures," and I was like, "That's what you saw."
Yeah.
But that's not what I felt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was happy because the people around me were happy. I was like taking on as a chameleon. But being really happy, those people don't always connect to the people that are really sad. But somebody that's really sad can connect to that person. And then with the people around them can all of a sudden I can lift up. I could bring this sad person to that happy person, and I can join that person in happiness.
After taking on the persona of sad.
Taking on that person's sadness with me. So now our Holy Spirit is joined. But I have the ability to take that person on a ride with me. I might not stay there, but that person might stay there. And I noticed that a lot of times when I was teaching, kids would come in and tell me the darndest things.
Yeah.
And I don't mean the darndest things, but I mean like
crazy.
Soares, I was raped over the weekend. And I'm like,
wow.
I'm your teacher. I'm your PE teacher at that, dummy. Why are you telling me this? You know, I don't mean to say dummy like that, but the relationship that we had. And I've had kids reach out to me afterwards saying, Soares, you saved my life. Like I would have committed suicide.
Wow.
I mean, I even had one kid that was trying to commit suicide. I mean, too many times. And I told him one day in the bathroom, I was like, dude, I can't deal with this anymore. I'm just letting you know, like, either you have to do it, or don't, but promise me right now, if I leave this bathroom and I say I'm not going to give up on you, you can never try it again. You promise me?
Well, I feel like you like really put him in a position where you called his bluff. It's like, dude, do it or don't.
Do it or don't.
You know, and let me ask you this then, man. Do you think sometimes that's healthy, taking on other people's issues, sadness?
100% not healthy.
Yeah.
100%. But my life is not my life. Like I grew up a lot when I was younger, and being afraid of death, like you don't really want to hang out with anybody. Nobody really want to hang out with you. So I started listening to Bob Marley in the 4th grade, as well as the first time I read the whole Bible in my little itty bitty, you know, like hooked on phonics mind, that it was the New Testament. I didn't realize, I mean, it was the Gospels. I never realized that the Bible was past the Gospels, but I read it. And as I read this book, I was like, this is like all makes sense. This is completely like, I get it. It's etched in my heart already, like strongly in my heart. So when I'm reading this and then I'm listening to Bob Marley, and I went deep into Bob Marley, not just legend. I went all the way, like as far as you could go with Bob. And the lessons that he was teaching was kind of an anti-establishment, but like really about spiritual religion and love and all that. And it's like, so for me taking on this sickness, so to speak, and I don't think my grandma was the same way, and she could pray and like have things happen like that. But when you look at the Heyoka and that way, and that spiritual, that sacred clown, that mirror, the only way that people that are down like that can be raised up is if you can connect to that person there and help them, guide them to that.
So Sean, when you started figuring this out, so when I started figuring out, like, for me, like, not why I'm supposed to be here, but like, okay. So getting to know like the new Johnny, right? Mm-hmm. I look different. I think different. I act different. I have different thoughts. I have, and finally saying, okay, I'm tired of hanging on to this old guy. Not that I'm old, but I'm kind of old, but like I'm tired of trying to be this person over here that I used to be prior to this happening. Right. And I've talked to you about this before too, because if you haven't related, you're gonna, we've talked about it. Yeah. I looked at myself in the mirror and I didn't know who was looking back at me, bro. And so when I finally said enough and I just let it go, and I'm getting goosebumps right now because I'm thinking about it. And when I just decided to get to know who I am now and what I'm supposed to do and how I'm supposed to do it. And like, that's when my good day started. And then like a bad day happens, a dark day happens, but then I get 3 good days. Yeah. And like, they might not be in a row, but like, I'm coming off a really dark day, the day before Veterans Day. And I don't know why. And we talked that day. Yeah. And I was texting you some stuff, man. I was just something just inside me sometimes just hurts. But like, even after talking to you, I swear, we're sitting here talking right now. Like, I felt better. Yeah. I felt better. I went to Cup of Joy and had a cup of coffee too. So that also helped things along.
Well, I like what you're talking about, man. And, again, what it comes down to is relatable. And let me ask you this, because you're coming off, I hate that term Christian, believer and all that, is that what you are?
100%.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, the reason why I don't like that is because, like you said, I feel like organized religion's really failing and really putting a bad stigma on Christian believers and all that. And I've learned, and I feel like this is kind of why the previous podcast was so successful, was because I think the vibe I'm getting off you, man, is it's relational. And I feel like and that's how Jesus was and is, man. The woman at the well, he met her at her spot. Zacchaeus, when he went to his house, and the vibe I get from you is that's what you are. That's what you do. That's why he can call you. That's why I can call him. He can call me. How important it is that, to be a believer, but not really push that organized religion and to get people on that same frequency, man. Because like you said, all of us have the Holy Spirit. We all have that frequency, that vibe, and when you tune in together, because that's what Jesus did, and he still does that today, because that's what he did. He took on our pain.
And that's kind of where I was going with my thing, was like with you. And then once you figured that out, you have to have, like, I know we live in dark places and we live in places where people don't want to go. And like, just piggybacking off, like, it's so funny how like we can just, you're getting to what I was getting at and whatever, but like,
we're Eskimo brothers, man.
Yeah, for sure. But you have to be thinking like, man, this is a good day. I got to help. Bop, 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 bop. You know what
moments.
I mean? It's okay. Good moments. Good moments equal can kind of pick up a good day, or like. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So with that,
and is that what you were saying too? Were you like getting around to like? So like, you're helping all these people. They're getting on this vibe.
Well, I wanted to ask them that because
you're figuring out like, oh man, like. Okay, so this new person has new vibes, and I'm being able to, I can pick up on things with people And like now it's starting to come like why I'm supposed to be here, like why
Yeah.
I'm kind of.
Well, what I was getting around to,
Right.
because again, the vibes you're putting out are Christian. You know, I don't want to put a title on again, but then that's why I had to ask you that to get around full circle on like you're reaching out and what you do now and how you're connecting with people. Because the first thing I thought about, like I said, is Jesus was relatable to all, man, and there wasn't one organization he represented. There wasn't one church. There wasn't one building sign and no office and no secretary. You know, it's just like you had access to him, man. And again, that's the vibe I'm getting for you, man, because that's really, I think in my experience, man, especially these past few months, you know, I have a new perspective on life, man, because simplest things to get up and do, I couldn't. Past 4 months has been, you know, the hardest months of my entire life. You know, to go back to an invalid, just a zucchini, just there. No worth, no value, couldn't do nothing, you know, and I was left by myself here. And here, my wife has been the best person in my life to get me out of all this, man, and bring me through it, you know, and to hear what you're doing, you know, and now, like you said, my purpose. Because I ask myself, even every day, even now, it's hard for me to talk about it. Because why was I brought back to life?
Yeah.
You know, why? You know, when doctors told me the people who get what you get, there's a 45% chance that you don't survive. But when you get it back to back and the second time is 100 times worse, but yet you're still here. And I've been battling that with myself. You know, why? You know, why am I so special in being here?
There's always reasons, and I look at it the same way. And I missed my first grade year, my second grade year, and my third grade year. And for people in education knows that if you miss 1 year, you're like at a increased risk, like 70% going to prison. 2 years is like 95%. In 3 years, it's unheard of that you don't go to prison. And I missed 3 years. Why? Why did I never read a full book until college? Yeah. You know, like all these statistics, these things that we overcome. There's a reason we're overcoming those things. You know what I mean? Like, why is it that one day I had known this dude from the gym for when I was growing up. Why this one day did I go and I see him at a random gym that I don't normally go to? You know, Alfonso Bigelow. Yeah. And why do I see Biggs over here at the gym when I was just hitting abs and just getting ready to dip out, and him say, "Hey Sean, man, let's go get coffee." Like, why did he ask me to coffee? Why, when we went to coffee, he gave me this book, said, "Read The Power of Now." Why, when I read that book, did all of a sudden the missing pieces of my spirituality start to connect in the moment and realize, like, oh my gosh, why did the depression that I've been dealing with in the past like start to make sense? Because I'm living in the past. That's what depression is. And living in the future, that's what anxiety is. Why did the moment connect to the source, to the Holy Spirit? Why did all this pain that I'm having, like, why was it lining up like this? Why? And then you start looking at, like, because then he would be like I started to realize there's no coincidences. And he would tell me, "Sean, there's no coincidences." And I'm just like, let me test this out. Let me just see. I'm just going to start paying attention if there's coincidences. So I found out when my buddies had cancer at Costco. I was going to get this floaty for the pool, just the big boy floaties, whatever.
What kind was it? Was it like the Toro one or like
it had the lines on it? You just the big chairs you sit in.
It's a big ass chair.
They're awesome.
I know. So, I like to jump in my pool and try to like land.
Oh, you break them. It pops out. It pops out. I had to take them back. You got little stuff over your pool. Not good.
I think I've had to bring like a couple. They're like, "Hey man, you got to stop bringing this shit back."
Hey,
like we know what you're doing. We know what you're doing. And I'm like,
do you?
No, you don't.
Do Alexa, are you watching
me? But anyways, back to the float thing. Sorry.
So I go.
You have me at float.
I was supposed to go to 2 places and then Costco, right? And I wasn't supposed to go to Costco for a floaty, but I ended up. I had to stop here. Took extra long. I was like, "Oh, well, I'm here. Let me go here." But I counted it that day where I was supposed to be 2 hours prior, three extra stops ago. I was at this place, and behind me shows my buddy Marquet rolls up behind me. And I'm like, "What's up, dude?" He's like, "What's up, Sean?" And this is literally he was going there to look at these floaties. And we start talking, and he goes, man, hey, just, you know, I don't, not a lot of people know, but I have cancer. And I'm fighting it. You know, I've got treatment coming up. And I was like, why? Like, I'm here right now. And this is after I already started trying to figure out, like, there's no coincidences, but just accepting what is. And when I found that out, everything that's lined up after that, I know it's a way in that moment, it brings me back to the moment. So going back to that darkness and that sadness and like, does this bring you happiness for this, helping this one person? Not in a sense, it brings me joy and peace to know that that person is going to be, because it's been divine that we've been connected, and that one person is going to have purpose and passion in their life. That's going to be a ripple effect that goes from them. And it might have started from a conversation or an opportunity that I was able to provide or whatever that is. But now their ripple effect, they found their purpose. And in that, I can look at that situation and be fulfilled, but not necessarily happy. So maybe I don't know what happy is. And maybe it's like, I think that happy in my mind is smiling and feeling good all the time. But that's not what happiness is to me. Happiness is seeing other people achieve their goals. Yeah. I'm like the dude that like is the stepping stone. That's the type of personality, the type of person that I am. Like, if you could step on me,
this is me right here.
all the time.
Put your foot right here.
Like, do you ever get up? No, that's not my job. I'm not supposed to be up there. I'm supposed to be right here helping you get up. And the more I do that, but the more people I help. And I think that the thing is with this, like I said, this hole that it's hard to fill. There's not enough. My reach isn't big enough. And I know that each person matters, but when they're gone and they're off doing their own thing, it's like all of a sudden, like, that's gone. Like, it's fleeting. You know what I mean? It's still like, I still feel that goodness and I'm happy for them, but then it's on like to the next, like, how do I help somebody else feel good, get them out of this darkness? Because there's so much darkness in the world that, like, I feel it and it's heavy on me. So in order for me to help, like, this overwhelming sense of darkness, I've got to just help as many people as I can to bring them into the light, to help, like, okay, you're next. Like, all right, here, you go. And as they start to fulfill their purpose, they're going to start to connect dots around me. And eventually I think that it will eventually bring me into another lightness that I can finally say, you know, like, Papa, you could finally be proud of me. You know, like, I've done what you've wanted me to do.
And and real quick, that was a really good segue into your podcast, Into the Light, which we haven't even brought up yet. You know, and what a great job you do. I mean, that was one of your podcast was a big reason why I called you that one day. You know, because you gave me, you know, I didn't think that I would ever even be doing this, nor did I even think that my voice mattered, but. You know, after watching your stuff like on Instagram and then speaking with Jose and then being blessed to come here and just the friendship that's come from it, and then the understanding and like what's going on with you, and I can sit here, Sean, and I know exactly, you could take out what's inside me and switch. It's the same. I get it. Yeah, I get it, and I don't want to say it's coming. For you, oh, it's coming. Hey, Laura, be ready. Be ready because
come for everybody.
No, it doesn't because I got you. I got you as much as you got me, man. And you know, if I
gonna sing to him, I've got you.
Yeah, I was about to say,
I will write a song. The bass is there.
My bad, I didn't mean to cut you out, Johnny. I just jumped in. ADHD is a crazy thing.
It does. I know. We just talked about floaties.
Well, we'll
hashtag
I want to
words.
get into your podcast, man, but I like where that was going. After Johnny threw my train of thought off, you know, but
I've had trauma.
We have those moments, but I definitely, what's crazy about it, man, is that because this world does miss that relation, that connection, you know, it really does. You know, this world we live in, social media world, said it before, money's not the root of all evil no more. I don't believe. It's attention. You know, and that's all that people want is attention, but whatever attention that brings to them, that's their happiness, you know, and I think where I've learned now, I think what makes me happy is when I talk to my kids, my family about me dying, and I had to square everything away. I'm like, look, I'm sorry I was like this. I went to all 3 of my kids and went to my wife, you know, and I talked to my kids even after. And like you just said, if my whole existence in life never reaches multimillionaire production, all this successful, but my job is just to help people not feel alone anymore. I don't care how crappy of a person you are, but no one should ever feel alone. You know, and if I'm that person that just reaches one person at a time, I'll die happy, man. That's my happiness now.
Because you don't get that unless you felt that true alone.
Yeah. And being alone at the hospital, man, was the most difficult thing. And I think that was my new perspective. Huge. Because like you hear the scripture saying, you know, let everything that has breath praise the Lord. With every breath, God, you know, praise you. You know, and I realized I didn't have no breath. I had none. You know, it's like, God, I can't even give you my breath because I'm going to die if I keep talking, moving. It was, you know, and I think when you said that, I feel like that's kind of where I'm drawing my happiness from after I'm healing up from all this, getting out, moving around, and, you know, and I'm starting to see like the impact, you know, if this is all I'm meant for, this is all I'm meant for, you know, and that's where I say I'm happy with. Because I've been happy in moments.
Yeah.
You know, that again, like you've finished a life sentence for me, you know, and I've been happy in moments. I can look back at a moment where like, yeah, I was real happy then. But for some reason I went down, you know, then I'm looking for the next thing, you know. And so let me ask you this, man. When you decide to take that on and you have your foundation, you know, what are your, what were your, like your success stories, but what were your like most difficult stories that you're like, dang, I couldn't get over that, or it made me think this way. It made me, you know, feel or experience this way. And I brought it home, or I brought it here and here, and it stood a while, you know, because looking at you and talking to you now, I don't feel like, you know, things really affect you, you know, because you know how to take on that pain or that frustration or that anger.
Well, the nonprofit, we're still fairly new. Like we've been up and running for like 8 months now.
Yeah.
And just knowing how to take things like the little victories. You know, I got my powerlifting team. It's one dude, Steve, and he's already getting swole as can be. Unbelievably swole. And I'm just like, gosh, dang, Steve. And he's like, he's feeling it. He's feeling himself. And I'm like, good. Because the nonprofit is about providing purpose and passion to people's lives. That's and with the reciprocal mentorship, it's going to do it. It's just going to take time. And I understand that. But I think that the pain that I've lived through, I still have extreme pain inside. Like I was talking with this group of teachers because I'm talking mental health, because right now mental health in the education system with kids, teachers, staff, everybody, it's you know, I have a psychologist friend that we've been talking. She works with the schools. It's off the charts right now with mental health. The kids aren't able to see a smile. They don't even know what a face looks like all of a sudden, but they see what the only people they are seeing are these extremely happy people on social media. So they don't understand, like, the feeling they're feeling inside is not what the rest of the world feels. So they are isolated. Yeah. So I'm out there talking, I'm telling about this situation, and I'm crying because I still haven't fully processed, like, losing Bubba. Like, I processed it, but at the same time, I've never grieved. I've never had a proper grief. And so when this stuff happens, like, I'm still in the process of grieving. And I can't get rid of that because I don't know how, like, in a sense that, like, it'll never be forgotten, because the PTSD that's within it because of sports, and I love sports, and I don't get to teach, I don't get to coach anymore, like what I was really good at. I can't do it anymore because a trigger happens and all of a sudden, like, I'm like dipped out, I'm on my phone. And so that everyday pain that I live with, because these triggers happen all the time, it's managing triggers all day long. Okay. So getting out of that, it's like, I've got to make sure, even when I take Steve down to get trained, like, stuff happens. Cause I mean, he's got Down syndrome, and they don't typically, from what I'm understanding, is their cardio isn't as good. So he starts breathing heavy, or my daughter, like, they're working out really, really hard right now. And when they bend over, like, I see death, like, and I don't want to see that. So it's like something that I love so much in fitness, and I can't fully feel like that joy with my kids. It's sad. Or sometimes that I withdraw from the people I love the most. And that's the thing with my family unit. And I was thinking about this actually yesterday or today, because we're bringing in a girl that is lost an opportunity on the Central Coast, and I met her through this, and she's coming. We already have a girl that's getting her master's, and she's trying to become a professional golfer. We don't have that big of a house. We got a 4-bedroom house, but then this other girl needed, like, she doesn't have any family. Her mom's family's from Mexico. Like, they have nobody. So she, like, doesn't have any. So we're bringing her into our house so she can finish up her high school career out of high school. Yeah. So like all this stuff that happens in my life, that I feel like this overwhelming sense, like I'm not giving enough to my kids. But then I look and I'm like, you know what? We're one. I really felt like recently, like, dang, it's like she's my right arm, she's my left arm, she's like this, and we are all part of the same organism. And so when I reach out to help somebody else, or they reach out to help somebody else, all of a sudden my joy has become part of their joy. Like when they're happy, I'm like, wow, they're bringing me my happiness now. And my wife, and she's got her brokers for real estate. She became a broker. Passed the test, and like her joy becomes my joy. And as long as I'm understood, that's my big thing, is just being understood, because I've been so misunderstood my whole life. And like you said, being alone, I spent a lot of years just alone, no friends, like just by myself. And and you would think like, oh, dude, you're pretty badass at football. But there were times like I had like low confidence, low self-esteem. And there were days like my best friend, we had another friend, but my dad didn't like me to go like stay the night that much. Yeah. So he would like spend months, and we get all mad at each other, and he would go months over here. So I would be by myself. Me and my dad be friends. So I spent a lot of time alone listening to music with Bob. And that's like throughout high school, you know. Then I found like I would listen to music, and going back to the frequency, music that made me sad when I was sad is where I felt the best.
I learned that from my daughter. I learned that from Madison. Like she would listen to sad music before she'd go play soccer. And Maddie was a baller, dude. Not that all my kids weren't ballers, but like I'm like, why are you listening? Hey, Caitlin, what's up? Hey, but like she was like, but she would like listen to sad music. I'm like, man, why aren't you listening? Like I made you a set list. I made you a playlist for like game day. And she's like, yeah, you know, it's like chug, 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 chug. Yeah. And she's like, and she's like, yeah, no, I don't like that. And it's like some sad song, and I'm like, oh my God, like this is horrible. Like what's going on in this? Like 17 breakups. Like what's wrong with her? Maybe something's wrong with her. Maybe she wants to sing about that. You know, maybe something's wrong with me. But in a sense, like she taught me something, and I was so happy. And even now, I'm so happy knowing that I could listen to a sad song and be like ready. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or like just listening to a good song. And like she made me understand a little bit more about music. I thought I knew everything there was to know about music, because like all three of us, we would go put our Walkman in, we'd go disappear someplace. Yeah. We'd listen to Bob, we'd listen to whatever. Like we would, you know, and we would disappear. Like that was my friend. Those are my friends.
Your daughter though, that like is part of you, and you had the experience of saying goodbye. You said like saying goodbye to yourself. Yeah. In that moment, like you're saying goodbye to somebody that you love more than yourself, that you're saying goodbye to. And that's like saying goodbye to a part of you, you know? So like your perspective on that side of it is the far side that you got to come back from. It's like the buddy I had yesterday I talked to a buddy that I was telling you guys, you know, shot himself in the head with a shotgun, you know? And right as he did it, he was like, oh gosh, I wouldn't have done that. And he lost a child. And he, like, all this stuff has happened, but he had the unique perspective from the other side to come back. And not many people have that. Now, I do believe that we can get there by the death of the ego, because a lot of people, it's like you could die before you die. And I think that some people can do that through psychology and really realizing that the mind is just like it's a playground for the devil. Yeah. And God fights with the devil all day long in there. And if we can start to do things in our lives that help feed God, to fight the bad. But But the death of the ego and the death of the body are very similar. But you almost got you went to that edge, and you got to say goodbye to parts of the body that of your body that are your back though. You came back from the brink and like, oh my gosh, there's a newfound perspective that you have with your family. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I definitely understand.
I felt that, Jose. I felt that when I came and saw you after just losing my mom and like coming back here, and I like I told you, I cried almost all the way home.
Yeah.
I called Joni. I was like, man, I felt the disdain. I felt how close you were. Now that Sean brings that up, like that makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
And
you're right. Because again, I never thought of it that way. That's a part of me. That's who I am. That's them. That's me. And not a lot of people have that opportunity. Not a lot of people are given that or provided. And I think in that moment, I was able to discern that moment and be in that. And I'll never forget that moment. Because it was important. One of the things I talked to my kids about, I apologize. Look, I apologize for being this way where you guys walk up to me or you guys are around me and think, is this gonna make my dad happy? Is this gonna make my dad upset? Is this, would my dad like this? It's like, guys, but I've made you guys feel that way and I apologize. I want you to be happy for you. Because whatever you do, me and your mom are going to be happy for you. We're going to support you no matter what. But for me to put you in a position where you need my approval, I'm sorry. I cannot be that father. I cannot be that man for you. I cannot be that example if I'm putting that over you to where you guys aren't, reaching your full potential because you want to, you choose to. And when I said that, man, even after healing, I think my kids, their personalities and their lives have like jumped 100% that I've never seen them this, because they've always been happy. They've always had a great life, but man, I've seen different type of creativity, jokes and their real personalities starting to come out and not walk around eggshells around me because they know that, man, Dad, and I told them, what's mine is yours. What's yours is mine. You don't have to ask for anything. Just go. Just don't break it.
Right.
It costs money, but now that I'm starting to see that, I'm starting to feel, and I think, now that I'm trying to, again, put it in perspective, I think what healed me physically is that I healed that spiritual side of my extension of my kids.
Yeah.
And that's what healed me.
And you see them start to grow, and it's like, because you take the opposite of what you were going through, they were losing their dad. They were going to lose a massive part of them, and you came back. Like, that's the biggest gift that a kid could ever get is like, oh my gosh, my dad came back from the grave. Like you think about all these, when we lose loved ones, we just want that one more conversation, just that one more hug, that one more.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden they don't just get one more. They get a lot more. And it's I got that part that was going to be missing is no longer missing. It's there.
Yeah.
Like, I love you, Dad. You know what I mean? And then they can feel that like sense, like, he came back from the grave to tell me, hey, go follow your dreams. But he's telling me in the flesh.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to come from the spirit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
that's powerful.
And it is. And I think again, these are a lot of life sentences that I couldn't put a period to because it was just like this long run-on sentence that had it was so confusing to me, man. And talking to you now has really shown me that. And then talking to Fish, and Justin, who you just saw here, those guys have been the guys that have been here for me since this recovery, man. And, and I guess talking to you now has really, that's like, again, I'm getting all these periods to these life questions in a sense that I couldn't do myself, and I feel like obviously that's what you're doing for people, and that's dope because I remember Fish telling me about, he's like, man, Sean is just high energy, man. He's going to rock your world. And he just knows that you're going to just vibe with him. And I feel that now, and so, and let's get into now what you brought up, like your podcast, it's called Into the Light.
Yep.
Let's go over that. What do you talk about? What do you connect? Cause it seems like it's the same thing, but when did you start that? How long you been doing this? And
so the idea of it, maybe over a year ago that I did just a few, just like talking to the camera, just like my story. And it's hard to get through some of this when I really dive deep into what I've been through, because to inspire people is what brings me that happiness that I was talking about. So I went through, but like a lot of it's pain, and not a lot of people want to dig into their own pain. But I think right now they're at a point where they're like they're forced to face it. So,
they don't know, like, they're people are getting forced into facing their own fear.
Yeah.
And that is bringing them into the light.
Yeah.
So the conversations that are being had are conversations that I want other people to be able to see that pain and recognize it in themselves, to shine the light on it. Because the only way we can, like, it's darkness is something that it only exists when there's no light. It's the lack of light, right? So if you can just and you look at in the darkest of mountains, and there's a fire, you can see that light. In the darkest of skies, you can see one star. You know, so if people from that one star, they can start to search that one point in their life, like, and it doesn't matter, like we were saying, it doesn't matter how many people see it. Like, people message me afterwards and like, boom, they're not alone. And that's the idea of like into the light, is them like stepping out of this darkness, even if it's just for a moment, to recognize like, oh my gosh, I got a problem. Like I just spoke that out loud. Somebody messaged me on Facebook today. It was like, I just spoke out loud my biggest fear. I had another buddy that said his dad committed suicide, and he was like, and I deal with this, and I deal with something similar. But like I recognize that. I could feel, like I could see it. And it's about getting these people to come out of that shell. And again, there's so many different things under the sun that people are dealing with, that it's not just about mental health, but when you look at the collective, we're all suffering from something with the psyche. And for me to being an empath, being able to feel what they feel, like I can resonate on that level, feel what they feel, help get them, the person I'm talking to get out what they're talking about, because I know what they're going through. There's other people that are experiencing the same thing, and we're all vibrating at the same level. Now, as we talk through it, all of a sudden there's a lighter feeling. And that's in the classroom. Like, I could feel when kids, they'd be walking in the classroom, and I'd be like, hey, what's going, like, hey, how's it going? Like, I'd always stand at the door. How's it going? Like, hey, whoa. They go in the class, and I'd be like, hey, let me talk to you for a second. Come out here. And what's up? Nothing. And I'm like, no, really, what's up? What's going on? Nothing. And I'm like, look, and I'd always tell them, this is my line. I would be like, you could tell me you don't want to talk about it, but don't lie to me. So if you don't want to talk about it, tell me that, but just don't lie to me. I don't want to talk about it. And then I said, well, when you're ready, if you want to talk to me, let's talk. So you get all these people that are dealing with this stuff that they just never want to talk about, because mental health is a stigma. It's it's taboo to talk about. Like we repress. That's what we do. But if you repress, you're never going to heal it.
Right.
You got to kind of crack it open, and the ability to get down in that level. And that's where we were talking earlier about, like, is this my struggle? Yes, it's mine. But to crack that open and say, hey, this is what we have. This is what we're doing. You're going to open up right now, and we're going to rise up together. And everyone that's listening is going to rise up with us into the light. And we're going to go and start the healing process right here.
I love that. I feel like we're all, like, all of us we were made to shine. We were made to shine. We were. It's just figuring out when and how. And that's the true challenge. Yeah. And, you know, it's, I feel like you're figuring that out, and you're figuring that out through people. And it's fun for me to watch you, Sean, to be honest, to be able to watch you through your podcast, or through you and Chelsea's company, and watching you guys grow. And I remember when you guys got your real estate license.
Still waiting on that referral, though. I'm like, I know Tafoya is your guy, but I'm like, still waiting on that referral, buddy.
You're here before Tafoya was. Tafoya. Anyways, but like, Joni and I were at Sequoia, and we're having drinks, and you guys just passed. You guys just locked on. You were so happy. I got to have a drink with you guys, and I like everything. Like, you're just there. all the time. Go away. Leave me alone.
And I don't go out much either. So if you see me, it's like, there's a reason I'm seeing this dude.
No, but seriously, man, I've been able to watch all these things almost, and I know that I'm a little bit older, but like 10 years, but like it's
That's
it's been fun though, man. I get to watch all these kids, all these grown folks like grow up and like become good humans, and like you know, and listening to you and like your nonprofit and the things that you're interested in. I'm like, oh my God, did we get hit by the same freaking tree branch? Like the same, and like I know where you're going with your stuff. I'm like, damn, did Jose get hit by that branch? And like in that, like why?
Branch of life.
Gosh, the tree.
We got out of it clean though.
We got out of it clean. I got like that Jackie Chan nose going.
Hit by rock, man.
I could afford.
I walked into a straight jab, man.
Yeah.
But you know, like, why is it that like this? I don't want to call it a deficiency because it's not. It's what we live with. It's not what we struggle with. It's not what we like. We live with this, and it's okay. And it's okay. But why is it that like we want to be coaches? Why is it that we want to help people? Why is it that we want the same stuff? We don't get it. Why? We have to go to the edge? Is that what it is? Like I understood it, but I didn't get it. Like our childhoods were bad enough.
Yeah.
You know, I'm all right. I didn't need this, but I guess I did. I guess I needed to get humbled, man. I needed to get checked.
Yeah, I think that's what's hard for me is like the why of it, and I just think because I'm still in the middle of the why of it. I really am. You know, I really haven't started. I really haven't seen, you know, at least the fruit of it yet. You know, and I think that's what I'm excited about. I have this tendency where I put my foot in my mouth and I challenge certain entities, and I challenged. I think one of my last podcasts I shot was called "It's Your Choice," and we're talking about COVID. We're talking about, and I didn't get COVID for a year and a half. And I remember saying this, and I think this is me. I tested God. I said, man, you know what? I haven't got COVID. I'm good. Little, you know, because I was working out, staying healthy. You know, I was like, I was asymptomatic, all that crap. I was like, you know what? But if I do get COVID, I know right now I'm not right with God, but I'll get right with God. And if I do die, I'll just go to heaven. You know, and I remember saying that. Then a few weeks later, happened. And then when I was sitting in the hospital, that was the first thing that popped in my head that first night alone. And God is like, all right. And again, that I'm wondering now why. All right, God, after seeing that, why am I here? You know, like you said, the log, when it happened, the tree branch, why? When you're in the hospital that night, and you're fully aware after all the recovery, the surgery, and it's like, why? You know, and why did I say that? I don't know, man.
Right.
The stupidest thing.
My wife says, she goes, Sean, things don't happen to you, they happen for you. And that's and
why is it always our wives? It's always our wives that seriously, like Joni, Laura, Chelsea, like they
bad.
know.
Like I'm like, dang, you gotta live with me. I'm like probably the worst person to live.
That's
with
what I tell her. Like,
I tell Joni all the time, I'm so sorry.
I'm
so
sorry. My mom told her though,
Yeah.
before we got married, she goes, you know what you're getting yourself into, right? And she goes, oh, because we were together when my wife was 16, I was 18. She laughed, thought it was funny, like, oh, and my mom said, no,
cute.
I'm serious. Yeah. She goes, do you know what you're getting yourself into? And she goes, yeah, I'm pretty sure. And she goes, okay, I told you.
Well, she was warned because my mom's passed, and you know, so there's this lady that raised us, Mama Tracy, when we were getting married, and what did she tell you, Laura? She said, "Just let Jose be Jose." There's a lot that you cannot control, you know, and that's how. And that was like the most difficult because I couldn't find it. I wasn't looking. Again, there was things they don't like. A lot of things that happened for me, I never received. You know, they don't happen to you, they happen for you, and I really believe men do not mature until like 35, 36 years old, man. I'm 40.
Probably like 47 or so.
Yeah.
Probably like 50, I'm thinking.
You know,
if you ask my wife, I'm still 12.
Yeah. And I feel like in my experience, that's what I've learned. And I feel like about 4 or 5 years ago, man, is when I started maturing, man, even when I was a pastor, even when I was teaching, even when I had my job at Channel 26, and my life was like, you know, hitting full stride. It's just inside, man, I was a wreck. And again, for her to still be here is like a whole different level, man. And like what you guys said, like it's like why is this happening? Until you reach the end of the line, it's like, okay, here's why.
Right. And you realize that that's just a new beginning. You know, like the end of the line is just like, wow, we're starting this. Okay, now I got all this. Like now we're starting over.
Yeah, and that's one thing I asked him when we talked, and I think I threw this man for a loop. I was like, dude, would you change anything that happened to you then?
Yeah.
You know, this dude, he's like, he couldn't get it out. You know, and that was like the hardest question.
The next day I called him. I was like, bro, I hate you.
Yeah. The first thing I was like, what's
I gotta
up?
look like this for the rest of my life, but it's cool. I'm good. I don't wish it away.
I was like, because when he called, I'm like, what's up, Fish? Every time he's like, dude, I hate you. I was like, I hate you too. Or why do we hate each other? And then we talk, you know? And I mean, I feel like that's kind of, I had to ask myself that question, you know, would I change anything? No. Because now that I'm healing, part of me is like, I kind of wish I was still struggling, because it made me appreciate the little trivial things that we don't. And I'll be honest, I'll be open that the hardest thing for me to do, man, was to get up and go use the restroom, wipe my own ass. I couldn't. I really couldn't. And if I did that, my lungs would shock. My body would not receive oxygen. And I'm having to use 3 tanks just to shove air down my lungs, and I couldn't recover. You know, and I'm like almost dying, blacking out, because I'm just trying to wipe my ass.
Yeah.
Or I'm trying to brush my teeth, or I'm trying to eat. You know, and that's how death was. And again, for her to, you know, be by my side and do all that, you know, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I took my first full shower, you know, after 4 months, you know, and it goes, those little things we don't think about, those little things we don't care to think about. You know, just getting up and getting water. It's like, I got up one time when Justin was here and I passed out. You know, I got up just to go to the restroom. It was like, you know, that's just, my body was just not, you know, it's like, and again, to look back, would I change all that? Nah, I won't now. Now I'm more curious on why.
Because we're men, you know, and you, what did I say the other day? If you want to be something, you have to go through something. If you want to talk about something, you have to go through something, you know? And to be validated, you know, you got to go through it. You got to go through the dirt, and you stamped, man, you know? And I'm on high alert when I come here. Not high alert like, you know, but like for you. Like I'm on high alert. Like as soon as I walk through the door, I'm like, all right. I'm on high alert. I go right into protection mode, and I'm not going to apologize for it. But and you know, when you did ask me that question, when I answered, I said no, I wouldn't change it, because like it's made me grow every time. It's made me. It's allowed me to meet amazing people. It's allowed me to understand people, and it's allowed me to take a step back and realize I'm not the most important person in the room. You know. And I'm really happy about that. I like making other people important. Yeah. You know?
Isn't that weird that in that moment when it all went down, that's not what we were thinking about?
No.
We made it very selfish. Why me? Why is this? What the hell? You know? And again, now that I look back at it, like you, like we're just like, nah, I won't change it now. If anything, I don't want to. I wish I would have changed my attitude in that. You know, I really wish I changed my attitude and all that. Because I was getting real frustrated. I almost fought my doctor, you know, and I couldn't even fight, you know. I'm
gonna say mean things to you.
Throw my pudding at him, you know. but yeah, it's like
I'm flicking at you,
you know. But again, I wish I would change that, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of where my example is, because is that my kids see it.
Yeah.
My kids
they see the fight.
Yeah.
They see the fight. They see the struggle. They see the fact that we don't quit. They see that we keep going. They see that we help people. They see that we think of like all these other things, and we're last.
Yeah.
And they even see that we're putting them first, you know,
Yeah.
and
You know what's crazy though, is I'm sitting here and I'm just listening to you guys talk about this. I think that happiness is, and because I've always had this thought of happiness, and like you said, this thought, it's like, wait a minute, by me saying I'm not happy, when I'm enjoying this moment right now, being happy, even if it's short-lived, there is happiness. So for me to say like, oh man, I don't really experience happiness, then maybe that is a overall sense. But looking at that and enjoying this moment and being happy, that if I were to go away from this and say like, man, we're laughing and we're having a good time and I'm not happy, what does that say to the people that I'm around? Like, man, we were having a good time. Wow. Instead of feigning, like not even feigning, but mirroring, that is a true feeling that I'm noticing right now. I haven't thought about it like that, because then it's like, imagine how my wife must feel if she's like, dude, you're never happy.
yeah.
Imagine how my kids feel, Dad, you're never happy. And then, but to think about it now, it's like, wait a minute, there are moments of happiness in my life that is just not, everyone experiences happiness in different ways. This is my happiness.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that is something pretty profound that I never really thought about.
I
like
literally wrote that the other day. Wow. I literally wrote, there's a difference between being happy and happiness. And everybody experiences happiness in different ways, in different fashions. I can't believe that you just said that, dude. That gives me goosebumps thinking about it. Cause I literally just wrote that. Yeah. I think it's in my journal.
Words.
Words. By the way, 2022, look out for my book. It's called Words. What camera? Check 1, check 2. Words. That's it.
Whispering
just words. Yeah. No, not even numbers, not even page numbers, nothing. Just words.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I love it.
Well, man. I mean, I didn't know. I think we covered a lot, man. You know, and I see your shoes. I like your shoes.
Oh yeah.
You know,
native way.
Yeah, and you are Native American.
Yeah, part. Yes.
Yes. How much?
My grandma. I'm around 16 from the 23andMe, but it's weird how that rolls. It's like when something's hidden for so long, and we knew. My family would always tell me, but you know, my grandma was the ethnicity that she is. Like you could she's definitely more Native than that test will show.
Yeah.
And just for it to be wiped away from us. And that's why now it's like I start to look into the culture. And like I do want to give back. Part of that at-risk community is like
especially
the Native American culture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of you know, you got extremely wealthy tribes, and then you got tribes that are not. And I've talked to many people. A guy, and as crazy as it sounds, we're getting that time fit?
Yeah. I'm gonna get
this
grounded real quick. Yes,
Joni,
yes,
sorry,
yes.
But he's carving these. He carves stone in, I think, North Dakota, South Dakota. He's Lakota, and he carved this thing. And this was when I first met him, like 6 months ago, and he sent me a picture, and he goes, "This is you," and I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" He goes, "I carved this." However many years ago, I gave it to this lady. She asked me to carve this specific, and he goes, and it's you. And I was like, and I'm like thinking, he said some things that I was just kind of like, damn, like that's what you're seeing. And he goes, man, I don't know a lot of people like you in this world, like in this world. So when people look, and I think that you have a certain sense, but it can run deep in you. You know what I'm saying? It can run really deep, no matter if it's like 16% or 100%. Yeah. When it runs in you, it runs in you, and there is no like I feel like, oh, just because I'm this percentage, you know what I'm saying? So, and that's why I wear these, so I can.
I like those. I saw those. Like those.
Ground. You know what I mean? I want to connect with the earth, because a lot of people like if God is in everything, then why I want to like stop him from entering me, like through the floor, through the ground, through the grass, through whatever. I want as much as I can connect. The easiest way to feel him is through the human spirit. But if I could touch a piece of wood, or I can pet an animal, or like look at a tree, like all this stuff has the Most High's imprint on it all, and I want as much as I can of it. You know what I'm saying?
Because the only reason why I was saying that too, man, or at least seeing that, because I remember we were talking about it earlier. You know, because I know a lot of white people claim they're Cherokee or Apache,
Yeah.
But it's like, but you explain that, but Johnny's like, I'm Cherokee.
Do a lot of people claim Apache?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, really? I thought it was Cherokee was the most.
Yeah, I know. I've heard Apache, man.
Okay.
But I'm native. I'm half. I'm from, like I said, Yakima, Washington, Cedar Woolley. Because my mom, my aunties, and uncles are the last full bred. I don't know how far. I mean, they were clapping cousins' cheeks or something like that. I don't know, but if for some reason,
That's so dirty.
yeah, it is, but I don't know. But again, I know my aunties and uncles are the last full bred. So me and my siblings are half.
Wow.
And so that's kind of real. I buy from you too. That's pretty dope. But I think I want to continue, this tradition of what we always do is give our last thought to people that listen and watch. Because it's a lot of information. I know Johnny Fisher's gonna get spanked when he gets home because he's late.
We're gonna get grounded.
I'm gonna be where I need to be exactly on time.
Yeah. So let's.
I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be right
now.
now.
Let's. Last thought words. Anybody listening, and watching, based on what we talked about today, and everything, all this information, man. What do you want to tell people listening and watching, man? As a believer, as a non-believer, as someone in darkness, in light, in pain, and what are your last thoughts?
As come as you are and love freely.
Like
Straight up. That's it.
That's pretty. What about you, Fish?
Oh, sorry. I love that. That's great. I love how much you love your community. And I guess what my takeaway is, like you, through our town, you kind of, and the things that I've been through, like you've kind of helped me understand my community more and help me like want to be better in my community, help people out, start coaching, like, and not a sport, but like in life. And, this is the time to do it. Like, here we go. I have part 2 coming up, man. And I'm excited. I'm so excited. I'm excited about this, and I love the come as you are, and love freely is great. But like Sean, you do so much for our community, and I just love how humble you are. You do a lot more than what you think, dude.
Yeah,
you're a good dude.
Yeah, same here. Thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate your time. I know time is important, so I want to make sure we respect that here, man. But we're always down to go. Was it right there? You'll see there's 241 hours of podcasts we can record right now. So, if, Johnny might get spanked, but we can still go. We can still go at it. But
that's awesome.
Again, but I think my last words, man, people listening and watching, it's kind of hard to say enjoy the moment, even when it's not the best moment. And it's like it's not like the buck up, buttercup, pick yourself up by the bootstraps and get through it. No, it's like I really now I want to find my growth on why it's for me. Things happen for you for a reason, or to you for a reason. And now I think in that I want to start looking for that more. I think anybody listening and watching, I hope you can do the same thing, and be that person when you walk in the room, if you see someone sad, hurt, upset, anything, go take that on with them so they don't feel alone, so they know they're not alone, and give them that validation that, hey man, there's some dope people out here still. If we can be dope, then this world can be.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like that would be my last giving the information, because I know we can talk about a lot more. I'm down for a part 2. Y'all down for a part 2, man? 100%. We love to go on your podcast and
hell yeah.
Really, whatever questions you have, man, and we can. I'm always up for anything.
All right.
I have no shame. Y'all, you haven't seen me in my full 100, man. This is like 5%. It was hard. Seriously, this is 5.
Yeah, it's like maybe 6.
When we were in the living room and you guys were cracking up laughing, I got up. Because it's hard for me to laugh.
Yeah.
I can't get that deep laugh. So it's like my laugh now is like,
it's like the dude like Key and Peele when he's like,
Yeah, I can't. I can't even do that. It's like that movement, but my laugh is just like a spur, But I can't laugh just that constant because it's hard for me, man. And I really, again, y'all haven't seen me 100% yet. You know,
I'm a joke. Usually I'm a jokester. This is kind of heavy for me today, but I'm a jokester. Like,
it's good to I think for everybody to like get to know who folks are and stuff, and I think next time we could have a little bit more fun.
I'm open for it, man. I know I'm a sports fan. Y'all see Patriots fan.
Oh yeah.
You know, I'm a big Pats fan, man. You know, Tom Brady to the day. You know, but seriously, man. But again, thanks for coming on, Sean.
Absolutely.
Man, I appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me. Appreciate it.
Fish.
Yep.
Catch you another time.
Yeah.
I saw the old guy joke there.
But
nice. Again, everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Stand by on what we got coming out, man. A lot of real stuff, a lot of fun stuff coming out. You know, we definitely want to always connect with you guys, and definitely, man, put some dope podcasts out just for you. You know, again, a podcast is a podcast. Anyone can do it. But if you can be relatable and connect with people, man, I feel like that's what gives you an extra edge, and I feel like that's what we got.
Yep.
You know, so again, my name is Jose Cruz, and we'll see you guys in the next one.